Let's find out who are the least and most evil in the grim darkness of the far future. In the 41st and 42nd millennium, everyone and everything sucks. The universe is in a pretty horrible state. The cool and most amazing fights peaked at the start of the known history of the universe, with the coolest and most crazy space fights with outrageously overpowered creatures being found in every square inch of the galaxy. Things like the Necrons and Eldar, using things that could blow up stars, and every flavor and faction of 40k are horribly unredeemable, and have done horrible things for their own Imperials to grab to conquer the galaxy for their own nefarious purposes. In this video, I hope to catalog the horrible nature of each and every one of the factions that exist in the Milky Way galaxy, while also ranking them. Each of them more and more wanting a genocide than the last, with the galaxy being filled with the laughter of dark soul-thirsting gods, corrupting and destroying everything in their wake. Plus, nobody gets workers' benefits, like there's no pizza parties or even holiday bonuses. The list is going to be covering most of the major factions and how evil they are, and spoiler alert, it's based on my opinion. So if you guys have some differing opinions and don't call me a stinky poopy butt brain while it happens, I'd be glad to hear them down in the comments down below, along with maybe even your own list. And if you guys want to see me cover more content and making lists, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. First of all, we have a faction I admittedly don't know very much about, that being the Leagues of Votann. The Leagues of Votann are genetically modified human clothes built for the harshness of planets that usually were mined on. They're very secretive about most of their culture, with them only really doing things for the benefit of their family or their kin, with kin being other people like them, and Ironkin, which happen to be robots with artificial intelligence in them that look about the same as them. Ironkin are a very open secret amongst the Votann though, and if pressed, they'll just tell you straight up that they're robots. What they won't tell you about though is the Votann themselves, even if they do openly use the name of the Votann in front of outsiders, with none besides the Leagues of Votann knowing what Votann are, which are giant supercomputers of unknown origin that help the Votann, with these giant mechanical minds managing families and guilds, with these machines not being cleaned up in a while, with lots of gamer gunk inside of them. Some of these machines have slowly started to shut down and lag because of it, with hardware and memory corrupting and giving them sorts of personalities. The advisements that the Leagues get from the Votann have also slowed down considerably, with the great machines degrading, making it so it takes them a long time to do anything. The main reason they're here at the bottom is because they're not really that naughty. They just kind of seem like normal people with some secrets and some grudges, with them having a particular hate for the Eldari, Orks, and Tyranids, mainly because all of those factions have screwed them over before, horribly. They're more worried about protecting and keeping their own family safe above all else. There's no outright horrible part of them in their culture, at least from what I can tell. So for them, they win the Best Boys in the Galaxy award. I hope the Leagues get a bit more time to showcase their deep dark side, with them doing horribly inhumane things to the Imperium, and all other intelligent races. And tragically, maybe even themselves. For right now though, they are nice, a little too nice, and I hope they betray my trust and leave me horribly sad. Let me know if you guys have some lore about the Leagues when they're unfortunately called things that I'm not even comfortable with calling them in the late 80s and early 90s, because I don't really know much about Warhammer out of 8th or 9th edition. Next up we have the Tyranids, which are here for a very similar reason to the Leagues of Votann. We don't know much about their mission statement, besides them just being a bunch of space bugs that want to eat everything, and grow their species by rapidly evolving and adapting to anything they might face. I put them here because they got like on-site beef with everybody. No one's safe. They are on a seafood diet. They see you, they eat you. And compared to the likes of Votann, you can't even have a conversation with them and ask them why they're doing the stuff they do. They'll just skip to disposing of you in the most violent way possible, with them uncommissioning you and then turning your body into biomatter, in order to make even more bugs. Some Tyranids have been seen to be smarter than others, with the big ones, like the Swarm Lord, understanding things like shows of strength in combat against Manius Calgar. Overall, most acts of aggression from them can be boiled down to them being a species that is hyper-aggressive and dominant. Would you call ants evil for killing other ants or insects? Or a carnivore evil for killing a human? They're animals. Even some of the most dubious things they do, like gene stealers and hating Tigurius, are based around them either having a rivalry or getting an adaptation that makes it so the Tyranids can step up their game for one simple goal. Wow, second spot, and we are already dealing with a race of genocidal space bugs. The Tau on paper should be the least evil if their public beliefs are true. The Tau want to be in peace with all races and operate in the interest of the greater good of the entire galaxy. This is their main thing that they peddle, their meme if you will. But the Tau telling everybody that. with some people from the Imperium of Mankind even defecting from their role to serve the greater good. Which sounds pretty good, but don't let them fool you. It's commonly accepted that the Tau have some sort of devious things that they do behind everyone's backs. The Imperial caste with their psychic abilities and mind-melting worms can sway people's opinion of them to make them join the Tau and brainwash them. For this, they go a spot above the Nids and Votann due to them deceiving and luring people into a mind-washing trap. This faction based off of the fantasy lizardmen are evil in their controlling ways, but they aren't the worst, and there's a lot more worse out there, considering they will try to talk to anyone who doesn't fight them on sight. Well, at least if you join them, you get mechs. If anyone disputes my ranking of the Tau, they will be called brainwashed and part of the Tau greater good, and I'll make sure they're the evilest faction in a revised list. Orks are horrible life forms that everybody would dread to meet unless you are another orc. The physiology of orcs literally makes them have a war-hungry mind, with one that is more worried about having a good time through having the craziest fight imaginable, rather than just, going golfing. While the orcs don't want to exterminate everybody, because that would make it so they had nobody to fight, they sure do want to have a fatal fight with each and every one of them. They strive to have the universe in the exact state that it's in. Except with them on top, of course. Their culture and hierarchy is based around fighting, including Gork and Mork, with orcs following the biggest and baddest orc to get the largest mind-destroying battle possible. For this, the orcs are just a couple of wacky goofballs that want to bring in what they perceive as fun to the entire galaxy. Although they do have some moments of horrific sadisticness, with them doing things like bisecting someone's legs from their body and then laughing at them, because perceiving the pain of others is funny. Especially because they're not as insanely durable as the mixture of fungus and animal that the orcs are. If anyone's there to truly blame for the war-hungry animals that they are, then blame the old ones. The old ones made them aggressive and bloodthirsty, but didn't have the courtesy to give them an off switch. But they are here on the list for their sadistic and war-hungry nature. The Eldar are probably the most pompous, least enjoyable faction to sit down and have a chat with, besides maybe the Tyranids, who would just eat you. But death would be much more preferable than talking to one of these freaks. That statement applies to the Drukhari too. Well, some of them are, but not all of them. Mainly the hierarchy. Their whole empire's in ruins because of their own hubris, making a chaos god after they stabbed each other in the butt enough times while kissing. The Eldar, like all the factions coming up, believe that they are way better than everyone else. The difference is that they're opportunists and often try to ally with the Imperium for single fights, with them willing to put aside differences if something is particularly bad. They do often screw over their recently acquired allies, though. The Eldar believe that the galaxy is theirs and want to rule over it, seeing humanity as a bunch of meathead frat bros, making them the least evil out of all the factions that want to conquer the galaxy besides the Orks. Talking about meathead frat bros, the Imperium, and all organizations of it within the massively spanning grass, surprisingly only get 4th place out of everything. For being humans in a sci-fi setting, they truly are evil, being horrible to every other Xenos race, and sometimes themselves. This includes the Mechanicusts that sometimes just choose to lobotomize people and turn them into unfeeling robotic slaves for an eternity, or the Ecclesiarchy that gain power through peddling a fake religion and removing unknown millions in the name of a false god that never even wanted to be seen as one in the first place. Every organization in and around the Imperium sucks, for one reason or another, and have done horrible things. The main through line is that all of them are atrociously xenophobic. Pretty much every single species, besides the ones deemed okay by the Ordo Xenos, or close enough to human, are fought on sight. But what about the salamanders, freelance? You say, strawman? No, they still believe in a lot of the same core beliefs. The only difference is that they care a bit more about civilian casualties, which is nice, and they let them see their families. But they still have the heavy baggage of everything else the Imperium does, as well as following the Emperor's beliefs that are extremely problematic, believing that humanity should be the only faction to lay rule over the Milky Way galaxy. Many atrocities have been done in the name of that belief, and countless friends and foes have become inanimate or vaporized because of it. The Necrons are up next, and they are the boomers of the galaxy, telling everyone how everything back in their day was crazier. And to be fair, it was, in a time where everything was somehow more ridiculous compared to modern day 40k. The Necrons share a very similar sort of antagonism towards all other factions like the Imperium, while also being bitter machines with long lost souls, with them being emotionless and dead inside. like most people who work in real life modern day. Most Necron wake up a little bit different after not being booted up in a few million years, with them being single-tracked in their ambitions, or becoming unfeeling automatons. Some also desire to wear the skins of other species in a way to feel organic again, flaying them and then displaying their skin tatters on their necrodermis. More and more of them wake up each day, and all of them want to destroy you and settle on the ashes of your civilization. Not to mention, one might just collect you and put you in a museum for the rest of eternity. He's kind of a sweetheart though. For example, Trazen the Infinite, the Necron we're talking about, did battle with Chaos during the fall of Cadia, but he did steal a few things for his collection, with his cooperation with any race or person being for his own benefit, with most Necrons that have sentience following a very similar idea. The main reason they're above the Imperium is because they can do a lot more damage and have done a lot more damage, with a lot less normal people and more robots being controlled by their own nefarious leaders. The Drukhari are Slaanesh's best boys and girls. They're Chaos worshippers that do anything the Chaos God of Excess and Lust wants, and commit unknowable crimes, wear flesh, and turn people into instruments and furniture, with all of them being Eldar. One of the most horrible fates in the galaxy is dealing with the Drukhari, being the Eldar that burst Slaanesh into existence. So let's just keep it short and sweet. They eliminate, torture, and damn the universe to a terrible fate, dealing with another Chaos God, on top of the other 3 that are also running around the galaxy. Talking about the Chaos Gods, Chaos has to be the most outwardly evil faction in 40k. Don't hit me with that, they're just the reflections of the emotions of the universe personifies as gods bullcrap. This does showcase how horrible most of the emotions in 40k are, with them being twisted and brought to their most outrageous over-the-top parts. On top of Slaanesh, we also have the Chaos Gods of blood and violence, as well as the Chaos God of disease and corruption, and one of knowledge and fate. All of them are as bad as the last, with them having demons and followers that can be brought into real space to enslave your mind and mutilate you, turning you into Chaos Spawn. We can also lump the Chaos Space Marines into this, being Space Marines that betrayed the Emperor themselves, and are partially to blame for how horrible the Imperium is in modern day. With them being like the Drukhari, with them being the most horrible things you could ever face in the Warhammer universe, making them tonight's evilest faction. What do you guys think about the list? Did I mess up horribly? Did you like it? Which faction do you think would be the best to live in as a higher up or leader? Do you want me to make more list videos? Make sure to tell me your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Until next video, fellas.